Alright, hello there and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a long one for you today. I will be swatching my entire blush collection, my powders, my liquids, my creams, every blush that I have in front of me. There are over 200 of them, so this is going to be a long one, so let's go ahead and get started on those swatches. Alright, here's my entire blush collection. For the powder section, I do have them all in alphabetical order based on brand. Now, I don't have that with the creams, but I thought we'll start with the powders first because I feel like the creams and the liquids would be more annoying, like as far as removing the swatches, so I wanted to save them for last. So I thought we would start over here with this container first and just start swatching these and get started on this video. Okay, the first blushes I have are all from Bare Minerals. I have 3 of their bronzer shades, and then I had this one right here from their Gen Nude collection. I have no idea where the floral pattern come from. I don't know if that was part of a collection, but that one's in the shade That Peach though. So let's go ahead and swatch these. Let's start with this one. This one is in the shade That Peach though. This has that pretty. So let's just get to swatching. Some of them are going to be very light because a lot of these are buildable formulas. And not to mention my light is pretty bright right here, so you can actually see them. So if I turn it like that, you'll be able to see it more. And this next one, this is the Bare Minerals bronzer. This one is in the shade Kiss of Pink. This is my favorite from the bronzers. As you can see, I have used this one a ton. And I think they've launched like 2 or 3 new shades in the bronzers, and I would love to get a hold of those for sure. Because I do think this is an amazing formula. You're going to see a lot of peachy pinks. You are going to see that because I do adore the peachy pink blushes the most. The next one is the Bare Mineral bronzer in the shade Kiss of Rose. I don't use this one or Kiss of Copper as much. They're beautiful blushes though. They are absolutely stunning. But they're just not ones I reach for the most. I mostly reach for these tones like this, but I love having shades like this in my collection in case I do want to do something a little more on like the coppery or rosy side. The last of the Bare Minerals bronzers is Kiss of Copper. And as you can see, these aren't nearly as used as much as my Kiss of Pink. I just love that one so much. In my opinion, the bronzers are worth every penny if you were looking to invest in them. They're worth it, in my opinion. Okay, next I have these from Bakerie. These are their bite-sized Snackaroons blush. This one is in the shade Hey Pumpkin. And boy, are these pigmented. These are, you don't even really need that much of these. They're beautiful. They're incredibly pigmented. I didn't even pick up too much because I know they are, but they're stunning blushes. And I just love the cute little packaging. Also from Bakerie, we have this one, which is in the shade Kiss My Cheeks. This gorgeous hot pink blush is so pretty. And then the last one from the Bakerie Snackaroons blush, this one is in the shade Freshly Baked. This really stunning warm blush. If I remember correctly, this one's like for me, it would be more like a bronzer. Like a bronzery tone. But super stunning, very pigmented. I mean, you can't go wrong with these blushes. Becca is no longer a brand. I hate it because this was one of my most favorite blushes. This one is in the shade Flower Child, and it is the most beautiful peachy pink. I love it so much. I'm so sad that you can't get it anymore. I mean, just look at that pretty peachy pink. It's just the most perfect shade. And it's got like a radiance to it, like it's kind of like a glowy blush. It's so perfect. It's one of my favorites, and because you can't get it anymore, I don't like using it as much, but it's just perfect. The closest I've been able to come to it is a shade from Rimmel. I can't remember the name of it though. but it is in my collection. I will be swatching it later. The name is not coming to me. I think it's Third Base, but that one is the closest I've been able to find to this one, like the exact type of, like the way it looks on the skin. Now next up are these from Believe Beauty. These are their Born to Blush shades, and this one is in the shade Rosy Glow. This is more like a highlighter. They market it as a blush, but to me it's definitely more of a highlighter shade, or like maybe a blush topper. It's still very pretty, and it is beautiful over the top of a blush or underneath the blush to add some radiance. It really is a stunning shade, but it's more of a highlighty shade. Okay, and then we have this next one. This one is in the shade High Tea. Very pretty, soft peachy tone, lovely. And then we have the next one. This one is in the shade Creamy Peach. Just another really beautiful warm tone blush. And these have a very smooth formula too, and they're very soft, as you can see from like the powder kick up. But they're very soft, very subtle. Let me build that swatch up a little bit more so you can see that. Okay, and then we have this one. This one is in the shade Wink. It's really beautiful plummy blush. Okay, and then we have this last one here, which is in the shade Fancy Plum. This one has some micro glitter in it. But it's very pigmented. And these next ones from Believe Beauty are split pans, and this one is in the shade Second Chance. This is their Major Monochrome Matte and Shimmer Blush Duo. I hate these little things. I wish they put those on the back of the packaging. I just don't like that they're on the front. But now for me, I swirl. I don't like to do two different ones, so I'm just going to swirl it and show you a swatch with both of them together. There again, these have a very soft, smooth formula to them. Very pretty. I don't wear them nearly as much as I should. And then we have this next one, which is in the shade Gallivanter. And then next we have this one, and this one is in the shade Risky Business. As you can see, they're very soft and they have a lot of kick up to them. So just be mindful of that. And then last, we have the shade Amour. This is the deepest one. I believe it's this one that is similar to the Kiss of Rose from the Bare Minerals bronzer line. I think this is pretty close. I'm not going to say they're dupes, but if you like the way the Kiss of Rose looks from the Bare Minerals line, then you might enjoy this one. But you know what? I'll swatch it next to you right now because that was the last of these split pan Believe Beauty blushes. There you can see it right. Now, of course, the Bare Mineral one is much more intense, but you probably could build up the Believe Beauty one to match it, but they are very similar in tone. So if you like the look of the bronzer, but you don't want to pay that price, then this one from Believe Beauty is a perfect option as long as you swirl them together. Okay, next I have these Burt's Bees blush. This one is in the shade Bare Peach. Some of these more lighter ones, I try to build them up a little bit so you can see the pigment to them a little bit better in a swatch. Okay, and then next we have this one right here. This one is in the shade Shy Pink. Now I've got to be careful with this one because my pan has come out of the little compact, so I'm going to hold it flat while I swatch it. I haven't glued it back in yet. This is just a really pretty, soft, pinky shade, just stunning. And then last of the Burt's Bees blushes that I have, this one is in the shade of Toasted Cinnamon. This one is more of a bronzer shade for me than it is a blush for my skin tone, but it's still a very pretty blush. Okay, next are these little ColourPop heart-shaped blushes. This one is in the shade Kiss and Tell. I really love these blushes. I only have 3 of them though. I know they've released more of these little heart-shaped compact blushes, but I only ever bought 3 of them. I have to build that one up a little bit more so you can see the color. I think I might be swatching too hard because I'm kicking up a lot of powder. Some of them are powdery, like because they're so softly pressed. This one would probably be my favorite because it's kind of like that pinky peachy kind of shade. And then next we have this one, which is in the shade My Type. Matches my nails. Pretty pinky tone. And then the last one I have is this one called Love Me Not. It's a beautiful red tone blush. Very stunning. Okay, then my next one's from ColourPop. I got the 2 from the Animal Crossing collection, and this one is in the shade Flower Tender. Which, ooh, this one is so pretty. This one's my favorite out of the 2. You'll see why. Let me build up that swatch a little bit so you can really see that color. And then the next one from the Animal Crossing collection, this one is in the shade Flower Power. Oh, well, it's written on the front. I didn't pay that no attention. This one is like a cool tone pink shade. I'll build that one up for you too since I did the other one. Alright, these next ones, I have the whole collection as far as I know. There's going to be a lot of these. These are the CoverGirl Cheekers blushes. I believe that all of them are still available except there is one called Bordeaux Burgundy that I believe you can't get that one anymore. But the rest of them I believe you can still get. But we have this one here which is in the shade Natural Shimmer. This next one is in the shade Rose Silk. This one is Bordeaux Burgundy, and I believe this is the one that's been discontinued, but I might be wrong. You might can still find it at Walmart, but I believe that it's no longer listed on CoverGirl's website, so I think it is one that they did end up discontinuing. And everyone knows this one. This is Pink Candy. Got that bubblegum pinky shade that's similar to that Dior blush that's so popular, famous. Okay, this next one is in the shade Peach Guilt. That one didn't show up at all. It feels kind of a little hard pan, but I have had these for a long time. But now this also looks, I don't know if you can see that. It looks more like almost like a topper shade, like a blush topper. It's not like a full-on blush. Like it'd be more like a highlighter maybe on the top. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, it's very subtle. Also, why are the veins poking out on the back of my hand so badly? Okay, then we have Classic Pink. You can kind of see, I turned down my light a little bit more because it is right there, so maybe my light's a little too bright, but This is the first time I've ever sat down and done a video like this, so I will definitely learn for future videos because I am going to be doing a video like this for my high-end eyeshadow palettes too. Okay, and then we have Plum Plush. This is Soft Sable. Okay, this one is in the shade Rockin' Rose. Yeah, some of these do feel kind of hard pan, but I have had some of them for years, so just bear in mind when you see some of these swatches. You know, like that one's barely showing up. Okay, there we go. Build up more there. I kind of scraped a little bit off that top part to get to some of the blush underneath, maybe that top layer. So there you go. You can see the color now a little bit better. This one is in Natural Rose. Okay, well that one don't want to show up at all. Okay, this one is in the shade Deep Plum. See, when I'm touching some of them, see, like that one feels soft. Some of them feel a little bit hard pan. This one is Brick Rose. Yeah, see, these feel soft. Some of them, I guess, are just, you know, have kind of, they've aged. I about put that one on top of that other one. Not paying attention. And we have Natural Twinkle. And this last one here is in the shade True Plum. There we go. Build it up a little bit more. Alright, these next ones from CoverGirl, these are their Instant Cheekbones. This one is in the shade Peach Perfection. Now with these, I'm going to swatch them the way I wear them. I mix all three. Some of them are kind of more like highlighter shades, but I'm just going to take 1, 2, 3. And then swatch it on the back of my hand because that's the way I wear them, and I think that will kind of show you what kind of shade you're working with a little bit, kind of between them. If you wear all three, that's all three together. Okay, and then we have Purely Plum. Same thing. I like to swatch them all at the same time. Then we have Refined Rose. So this one we'll swatch here first, then this one, and then this one. Okay, and then we have Sophisticated Sable. Swatch this one, and then this one, and then this one. These are very sheer. They're really, I guess, kind of like a very natural but shimmery kind of blushes. And then I had this one from CoverGirl. This is their classic color blush in the shade Soft Mink. This one's a very pretty shade. It's one of those blushes that just goes with everything, like the most perfect neutral. Also, ignore my hand after a while. My hands are getting really dry from wiping these swatches off, so just ignore that. Okay, then I have 3 shades of these CoverGirl True Blend blushes. And this one is in the shade Love Me. And then we have the shade Sweet Seduction. And then we have the shade Hot Frenzy. Alright, then we have these CoverGirl Clean Fresh blush palettes, and this one is in the shade Plum Blossom. And we have these. Now I will swatch these individually, of course. As you can see, these have crazy pigment. Okay, then we have this one, which is Dream in Pink. Okay, and then we have this last one here, which is in the shade Peachy Doll. This one's more like a highlighter shade, that first shade. Okay, then I have two like this from e.l.f. I'm not sure what the name of them are, but it just has blushing on the back of this one. I think you can still buy these though. I believe I remember seeing them. They're very soft blushes. Build that one up a little bit more. And then we have this one, which is in the shade Bright Pink. Next we have these from e.l.f. These were their studio blushes, but you can no longer get these anymore. They discontinued them. This one is in the shade Candid Coral. To me, this packaging, it kind of looks like they were trying to dupe NARS a little bit. I believe NARS has a similar packaging to this because there's even like a little mirror in it. This one is in the shade Twinkle Pink. This one's in the shade Berry Mary. This one has some glitter in it, like really fine glitter. And this one's in the shade Blushing Rose. Also has glitter in it. Then I have these mineral infused blushes from e.l.f. and this one is in the shade Always Cheeky. And then this one is in the shade Always Rosy. And then I have this blush palette from e.l.f. This is the light version, so I guess there's a deeper version, but I don't own that one. It just has these 4 tones in it. I'll come back and do that one. So I can build those a little bit. And then this last one has some glitter in this one. Okay, then moving on to Essence, I have this Mosaic blush here. This one is in the shade All You Need Is Pink. I love the way these look in the pan. They're so pretty. I swear, some of these blushes seem more pigmented on the cheeks than they do in a swatch on your hand. Okay, then I have this Mosaic blush. This one is in the shade The Berry Connection. Okay, and then from Essence, I have these blush lighters. This one is in Nude Twilight. And try to swirl and get all around in there. Then I have this blush lighter from Essence, and this one is in the shade Cassis Sunburst. These are pretty. Ooh. Seeing these swatched again makes me want to pull these out of my collection and put them on my little makeup table where I can see them again and use them more, because that's really pretty. Okay, next we have the blush from Essence. This one's in the shade Beloved. I hear a lot of people talk about these. It's been a while since I've used them, but I remember liking them. They have most of these blushes just have like a really soft formula, kind of like really buildable formulas, I guess is the best way to put it. Okay, then we have this one, which is in the shade Blooming. Now this one for me, this is pretty much like a skin tone, so I don't know if it'll show up really on in a swatch. Well, it does a little bit. But like when I put it on my face, it's basically my skin tone, so I like to kind of use it to maybe lighten up a blush, because it's really hard to tell because it just blends into my skin tone. I just kind of use it as a mixing blush. Okay, then we have this one, which is in the shade Bespoke. Okay, then we have the shade Befitting. Then I have 3 shades of their Pure Nude Baked Blush. This one is in the shade Shimmery Rose. These blushes are really lovely. And then we have the shade Pretty Peach. That one's my favorite. Love that one. And then the last one I have is Bold Heart. But I would love to have all of these. I think there's like, what, 6 to 8 of them? I would love to have all of them, honestly, because they're really that nice. And then I had this one from Haus Labs. This was from a limited edition collection. It was called like Casa Gaga or something. This is their Tutti Gel Powder Olive Rouge. This one is in the shade Rossini. This is an interesting formula. I don't know how to explain it. It feels like a powder, but it kind of works like a cream almost. But I have it with my powders because that to me is the way I wear it, like a powder, not so much like a cream. It just has an interesting formula. But it's very nice, and it's kind of a shame that this was a limited edition collection because, I mean, it should definitely be permanent. And then I have, oh, that one reflects so badly. This one from Jaclyn Cosmetics. This is their Luminous Rouge in the shade Loverboy. This is like a loose blush, and it's very pigmented, so I'm just going to pick up a little bit of that. Yeah, it probably got a little chunky, a little too much, and it was kind of chunked into that thing. But it's a pretty intense blush. You can build this up to be pretty. I don't really buy from this brand anymore, but I did happen to find this one a while back at TJ Maxx actually. I do have her blush palettes too, but I have my blush palettes separately, so I'll be swatching those later. Alright, moving on to Joa, I have their Airlight Soft Powder Blushes. This one is in the shade Pink Dahlia. These are really pigmented blushes and they're super nice. Okay, and then I have this one right here. This one is in the shade Warm Poppy. Then I have the shade Bright Peony. Then we have Naked Rose. I want to say this is more like a bronzer shade because I believe I have actually used this as a bronzer before. Yeah, that's the one. I've used that one as a bronzer and it's lovely. Okay, then I have this one from Jouer. This is one of their, it reflects, I gotta hold it. This is one of their Adore blush duos in the shade Adore Me and Hold Me. And this brand makes such really beautiful blushes. They have more of a buildable formula and they're just really soft. It's hard to tell really in these swatches because these really are light blushes. They are very pretty on the cheeks. Then I have 3 of the Kylie Cosmetics blushes. This one is in the shade Pink Power. These are really soft too, as you can see all the little crumblies that happen. These are really softly pressed. This one is in the shade Winter Kissed. And then the last one I have is Crush. Moving on to LA Colors, this little blush has no name. It come in like one of their little advent things, their advent calendars, but I will swatch it just because it is in my collection, but it doesn't have a name to it. It's a really soft shade. There you go, build it up a little bit more so you could see it. Then I have one of their Nude Glam blushes. Wait, or is that Glow? Does that say Glam or Glow? Well, I'm not sure, but it looks like this, and this one's in the shade Peachy Keen. Alright, with these types of little blushes, I have the new formula here, and then I also have the original formula. They're the exact same shade, so I'm not going to swatch these. I'm just going to swatch the newer ones that you can actually buy now. But if you want to see a comparison of these, I have a whole video on my channel comparing the new and old formulas with this packaging. So I will link that for you above in case you want to check that out. But I'm only going to be swatching the new ones for this video. So we have the shade Pink Blush. A lot of these are very light. They're buildable, but they go on pretty light, as you can see. So it might be kind of hard to tell in a swatch, but that's a really soft, soft pink. Then we have the shade Toast. I love how it's just the shade Toast and not Toasty, like just toast. Then we have Peach Rose. Some of these do have glitter in the formula as well, and it does absolutely show up on the cheeks. Okay. Then we have the shade Spice. Then we have the shade Sweet Cheeks. This is a very bubblegummy pink. This is probably like Barbie vibes. With all the Barbie stuff coming out right now with the movie, this would be a perfect blush to do a Barbie inspired look with. And then we have the shade Berry Plum. Okay, then I have these little LA Colors Blush Rush. This one's in the shade Fresh Glow. This is one of those that has like a 3-in-1, but I just swirl together. Usually when they have blushes like this, I just like to swirl them together and get one shade because that's easier. And these pans are so little, you wouldn't really probably be able to do like just individual shades. Ooh, that's so pretty. Then I have this one, which is in the shade Just a Hint. Also in a split pan. As you can see, like it says, Just a Hint, this is a much softer blush. Okay, and then I have these from LA Colors. This one is in the shade Natural. And these have like a little, if you turn them on this side, there's a mirror here, and there was like a little brush on the inside of that. I don't have the brush any longer, but these are definitely very sparkly. I don't know the names of these though. It's not on the actual packaging, but I don't know if I mentioned, did I say these are from LA Colors? And build that one up a little more for you to be able to see the shade. Then we have the shade Mink. And this one doesn't have glitter in it. And then the last one is Berry Mauve. This one's also, it doesn't have glitter in it. The formula is much smoother on these two than it is that one. I guess, I don't know if it's because of that glitter, if it's just the tone. Then I have these little LA Colors. These are the dual blushes. This one is in the shade Blushing. Now, this shade is pretty much a highlighter, but I kind of just, there again, mixed the two of them together to create one shade. Ooh, that's really powdery. Maybe I'm like swatching too hard too to pick up all that powder. But I think some of them are just so soft. Then I have this one from LA Colors. This one is in the shade Papaya. These don't have a lot of pigment, and honestly I think they were like $1 or $2 from Dollar General. I don't really expect too much from them. I mean, you can make them work. Alright, and then the last LA Colors blush I have is this ombre blush, and this one is in the shade Sunset Chic. I believe this is the only shade. I just like to swirl it all around. You really can't tell mine's that ombre anymore from where I've just swirled it around in there. It's a really soft shade. It doesn't show up too much on camera. It's a little bit more vibrant in person, but not by much because it's very soft. Alright, next I have these Just Blushing blushes from LA Girl. This one is in the shade Just Playful. There are a lot of shades of this, but they're only on like their website. You can buy the 3 shades that I have, you can find them in CVS's, but there are a ton more shades on LA Girl's website. I used to say I wanted to try to get all of them, but I never ended up doing that. And this one is in the shade Just Radiant. This one is filled with glitter, as you're going to be able to see right there. Maybe I need to tap them in. I noticed that they come off a little better when I tap them in. Maybe I'm rubbing too hard. And then we have this one, which is in the shade Just Natural. They even have a purple one. Like, there's a purple one on their website. Or there was. I haven't looked in a very long time, but there was a purple one, which I thought was pretty neat. Or I should say more like a lilac-y color. And then I have this little mini Lottie London ombre blush. This one is in the shade Exposed. They make a full size, I believe, but I just had a little mini. And it's a really nice blush. It's really smooth. Oh wait, I missed one from LA Girl. This is their Blushed Babe blush palette. This one, oh no, that is called Blushed Babe. Okay. And this has these 4 blush tones in it. I'm gonna try that. I have my Milani baked blushes. They've changed the packaging since this one. This is the newer packaging now, but I still have the old packaging in the shade Dolce Pink, because this one you lift that up and there was a mirror and a little brush. They don't have that anymore, but oh, I used to love this one so much. I want to get it in the new packaging too, because this one's really old, but I'm going to keep it. But look at that. This one's my favorite. Because it's that really pretty peachy pinky color. So pretty. I definitely want to pick this one up in the new packaging too. Okay, then we have Luminoso. Also a classic. I love this one too. This one and Dolce Pink are my favorites because they're both that peachy tone. Whereas this one's more straight up peach, and then this one's got that pinky peach, but both very lovely. This one's also in the old packaging. This one is Berry Amour. Okay, and then this last one here is in Rose d'Oro, I believe is how you say that. My apologies if I don't pronounce that correctly. And then this one is in Petal Primavera. Which that's a very pretty shade as well. All of these baked blushes from Milani though, they're all beautiful. Alright, next I have these little, I think they're called the Rose Powder blushes, and this one's in the shade Romantic Rose. Mine broke on me, sadly, so the flower print is gone. I keep saying I'm going to replace it, and I've yet to do so. So that swatch is probably not really that great, but it's probably also because that blush is broken and it's old. But that one is a very light shade. Okay, and then I have this one, which is Coral Cove. These are beautiful blushes. Look at that flower. I hate that my other one broke. That's why I keep saying I'm going to replace it, and I just forget about it every time I'm in Walmart. I just pass right by it. And then I have Wild Rose. Then I have Tea Rose. Then I have Blossom Time Rose. Okay, and then I have some from Physicians Formula. This is their multicolored blush in the shade Blushing Berry. Okay, and then I have this one from Physicians Formula. This is their Glow and Mood Boosting Blush in the shade Rose. Love the little hearts in there, that's so pretty. And this one is their Strawberry Jam, which I hate that when you use this, the strawberries go away, and I hate that because they were so pretty. And this even smells like strawberries, and strawberries are like my favorite fruit, so I love that. So pretty. Then I have one of their butter blushes, and this one is in the shade Vintage Rouge. And yet again, so much for me staying in alphabetical order. I found this little palette from Milani. This is their Cheek Kiss Powder Blush palette, and this is in the shade Golden Hour Glow. Okay, then I have this one from Physicians Formula. This is one of their butter blushes in the shade Mauve Mattes. This is their Matte Manoy blush. Oh, my hand's still wet from, okay, so ignore this part right here. I didn't realize my hand was still wet from my micellar water, but you can still see the tone. Then I have this one from Physicians Formula. This is their Miss Butterfly blush. I love the packaging on this one. It's so cute. Alright, then I have this one from Perfusion. This is their It's a Vibe blush palette. Okay, then I have two of these little Relove by Revolution. This one is the Duo Blush and Highlighter, and this one's in the shade Queen. I thought these were both blushes. I shouldn't have included these because I took out some blush and highlighter duos, and I guess I forgot about these. I thought they were both blushes. So my apologies, because I do have some of the e.l.f. bite-sized little face things, but because that was a blush and a highlighter, I didn't include them, but I didn't realize these two. Of course, now that one, this is a little too deep for me as a highlighter, so I would use that as a blush or a blush topper anyway. The same thing with this next one. There is a highlighter in this one. This one is in the shade Sweet, but I'll go ahead and swatch both of them for you since I do have it right here. That's a very soft blush on that one. Then I have this one from Revolution. This is the Blushing Hearts Iced Hearts Triple Baked Blusher. And now this one on me is basically a straight up highlighter. Like just, but it is technically a blush. But it looks more like a highlighter, maybe like a blush topper, blush mixer. But it is very pretty. This is the Rimmel blush that I said was close to that discontinued Becca blush. This is the Maxi blush in the shade Third Base. To me, this is about the closest that I've been able to find. It's not 100%, but it is close. And this is the Becca one, and this is the Rimmel. So it's pretty close. So if you really loved Flower Child and you can't find a blush similar, try the one from Rimmel. It's really nice. It's pretty close to it as far as the shade goes. And this is the RMS Beauty Hydra Powder Blush. This one is in the shade Maiden's Blush. This one is so lovely. I could die. I want more of these blushes from RMS. They're really nice. I mean, so smooth and beautiful. Then I have these mini Tarte Amazonian Clay 12-hour blushes. This one is in the shade Captivating. I got these in a little holiday set they did maybe about a few years ago now. Then we have the shade Charmed. Then this one is in the shade Delight. And then this one is in the shade Exposed. And then I had this one from Tarte. This is their, well, it's reflective. This is their Amazonian Clay 12-hour blush in the shade Bloom. Okay, then I have some Wet n Wild blushes. This was a limited edition packaging from a Valentine's Day collection a few years back, but this is in their Pearlescent Pink. Pearlescent Pink is a shade you can get all the time. Here it is in their regular packaging. So, but I am just going to swatch this one, but it's the same blush. This one's in the shade Mellow Wine. This one's in the shade Pinch Me Pink. And this one is in the shade Nudist Society. I don't know what happened to the sticker on the front of it. All of these blushes from Wet n Wild are really nice too. And I'm glad they've been added back to the cruelty-free list but I hadn't got rid of them because I always hoped they'd come back to the list again, and they did. So I can talk about them again. These next ones I have here are limited edition from them. These were part of their Fantasy Makers collection. This one is in the shade Let's Get Smashed. It had like a pretty little pumpkin face, pumpkin skull type face. You can't get these now, but I am going to swatch them. This is also from their Fantasy Makers collection. This one is Lost in the Crowd. They really should bring these blushes back into their permanent line because I remember really liking all of these. Another one. This is Exit Stage Left. See, I love that one. Love them pinky peaches. They're my favorite. This one's Meet Me at VIP. But you might can find some of these on places like Mercari if there's one that you are interested in that you don't already own. That's probably the best option to find some of these. And this one is Ferris Wheel Fantasy, but this is one of those that looks more like a highlighter to me than it does a blush. But they do market it as a blush, but it's more of a highlighter shade. Alright, this was from their Care Bears collection. This is the Do What You Love blush, and that's the shade name. Has these cute little hearts in there, but when you rub over them, they disappear because I've used this blush before, and they just vanish on you. These were also from a limited edition collection. This was from their Flights of Fancy collection they had years ago. This one is in the shade Don't Flutter Yourself, and I love these because look at the hummingbird in them. Oh, so stunning. These had more of like a blush lighter effect to them, but this was one of my most favorite collections they've ever done. I think they should bring back the whole collection, make it permanent forever and ever and ever. Also from that collection, this one is in the shade Hummingbird Hype. This one is definitely more like a highlighter shade as well. But they're beautiful if you mix them in with another blush. Very stunning. This one is in the shade Dare to Soar. It's just stunning. I wish they would bring this collection back and make it permanent. I mean, look at these blushes and highlighters. I guess because that's more of a highlighter shade, even though it's marketed as a blush. Look how stunning they are. Alright, then we have the My Cherry Amour face palette from Wet n Wild, but these are basically two blush shades in my opinion. There are others that are kind of like this. I think there's like a honey collection. There's like 4 different ones, but those have like a highlighter and blush or a bronzer and a blush. They're different. This is the only one that, to me, both of these count kind of like blushes. You could probably use this one for a bronzer too, depending on your skin tone. But to me, it looked more like a peachy blush. Then I had the Saved by the Bell collection. This is the Nerd Alert Glow Face Duo, but both of these are blushes. And also from Saved by the Bell, this is the It's Alright face palette. Now, they had another one in this collection, but that one had like a highlighter in it too, so I'm not including it. These had blushes in them, so that's why I wanted to include them in this one. Alright, next up are my blush palettes. So we're going to start with this one. This is the Wet n Wild and Pac-Man High Score Blush Palette. This was limited edition. Now my little plastic thing is broken, so I'm going to try to hold it. And then we'll just start doing some swatches. I really enjoyed this palette. I used it quite a bit when I first got it. I'm never good at the pinky swatches. Well, that turned out better than I thought it would. This is from the My Melody and Kuromi collection. Also really pretty. Kind of like, these were supposed to be more like blush lighter tones. And this one had like a scent to it. Alright, my next palette is this Revolution Blush Palette. This one is in the shade Sugar and Spice, or the name of the palette I should say is Sugar and Spice. Have all these really pretty blushy tones in it. Let's go ahead and get swatching. Okay, and then next I had this one from Revolution. This is the Vintage Lace Blush Palette. These are definitely really sparkly, glittery shades. So if you don't like glitter, this is definitely not a palette for you. And oh my gosh, this one from Melt is the most stunning blush palette I have ever seen. This is the Monarcha. I think I'm saying that right. Blush palette. I mean, oh my god. I don't even like touching it because it's so pretty. I hate even swatching them because where the little butterfly print is, I just hate messing it up. It's such a pretty palette. Alright, this next one reflects pretty badly. This is the Patrick Ta. This is the Major Headlines Blush Palette. This was volume 1 that he released. These are absolutely beautiful. I'm going to swatch the powders first and then I'll go in with the creams. Okay, and then I'll go ahead and swatch the creams. Okay, and then I had the Patrick Ta. This is the Major Headlines Blush Palette Volume 2. I know that this one wasn't as loved as the one from the year before, but I enjoyed this one. I like it, and if he has another one this year around the holidays, I definitely would love to pick it up because I did enjoy this palette. It has a highlighter in it. Picked up some crumblies when I swatched that one. You can still see the tone. Just ignore the little crumblies. I won't swatch this one because it's just basically like a clear with some sparkles in it, so we'll just skip over that one because that's basically all that is. You won't be able to see it. Alright, and then I have both blush palettes from Jaclyn Cosmetics as part of her Rouge Romance collection. This one is the Rouge Romance one. These are really beautiful blushes and they're very pigmented. Okay, then we have the other palette from this collection. This is the Rouge Affair palette. This one was the cool tone one. Alright, all of my powder blushes are now completely swatched. That's done with. So now we're going to move on to creams and liquid blushes. And I'm going to start with these little, I think they're called the Melting blushes from Rare Beauty. This one is in the shade Nearly Rose. Now, mind you, I have had these blushes since the brand launched these. So mine are probably kind of old. I don't know how well they'll swatch. I'll do my very best. I don't really wear these. Oh no, it still feels very creamy. I don't really wear these as much. I think her liquid blushes are better than these. I find these to be kind of a little patchy now. I don't know if it's because they're old, but you see how it's kind of doing? And they do this on my cheeks, so I don't really wear them anymore. I personally would recommend her liquid blushes over these any day. Okay, then we have the shade Nearly Mauve. Nearly Apricot, Nearly Neutral, and Nearly Berry. Okay, next I have this one from Believe Beauty. This is their Color Me Cream Blush in the shade Doll Face. This is a pretty blush. I think they have one that's kind of peachy, I think. Alright, then I have this Wet n Wild Mega Glow Blush Stick. This one is in the shade Peach Bums. I've used mine a ton, as you can see. One of these is a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Pinkgasm. I can't remember which one it was. It might be this one, it might be the next one I'm about to mention. Then I have this one from Wet n Wild. This one is in the shade Hustle and Glow. Yeah, I believe it was this one, Peach Bum. I think that one's supposed to be like a color dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury one. Okay, then I have this one from Honest Beauty. This is their Creme Cheek and Lip Color in the shade Rose Pink. These are really nice. I really enjoyed this one. They're so pretty. Then I have one from Rose Inc. This is their Lip and Cheek Color in the shade Delphine. Also a really stunning blush. This is from Merit. This is one of their Flush Bombs, and this one is in the shade Stockholm. I really enjoyed these blushes too. These are very nice. I would definitely love to have more of them in the future. Okay, then I have an e.l.f. Luminous Putty Blush here, and this one is in the shade Maui. I love this one. I use this one a ton. It's such a perfect shade. Perfect for every day. Then I have this Luminous Putty Blush, and this one is in the shade Isla del Sol. This is a really pretty orangey blush. Very stunning. Then this is one of the regular putty blushes, and this one is in the shade Turks and Caicos. Pretty little peachy shade. Well, I don't know what that little flaky is. I prefer the luminous formula than I do the regular putty. The regular ones are just too matte for my liking, but they're okay. But now mine might be drying out a little bit. Okay, this is a mini from LYS. This is their Higher Standard Satin Matte Cream Blush in the shade Empower. I actually have this one in my everyday makeup drawer right now. Of course, I pulled it back out for this video. Okay, then I have this one from LYS. This one is in the shade Grateful. I dug my nail in this one when I first got it. That's what that is. Then I have the shade Unforgettable. These are the little minis that were launched during the holidays. Okay, then I have this one from Saie Beauty. This is one of their new glow sculpts. This one is in the shade of Peach Glow, and oh my gosh, I love this so much. I love this so much. Look at that. Okay, then I have this LA Colors Blush Up Cheek and Lip Cream, and this one's in the shade Nude Glow. This is in one of those squeezy type packagings, so I'm just going to see if I can just put a little bit out, just a little. And I might have put too much, but you can kind of can see the color. And this one is the LA Colors Cream Gel Blush, and this one's in the shade Tainted Love. I feel like there's hardly no product in these little tubes. Oh, that's a horrible swatch, but at least you can see the color. And then I have this one, and this one's in the shade Hypnotized. Then I have a mini of the Charlotte Tilbury Beauty Light one. This one is in the shade Pinkgasm. Not the biggest fan of those sponge tip applicators. But while I have Pinkgasm here, I'm going to go back and swatch that Wet n Wild next to it so we can see. It's close. So if you were wanting this but didn't want to spend the money, this is a good alternative because this one just looks a little more pigmented, but I'm sure once you sheared it out on the cheeks, it would look pretty similar. So another favorite of mine from Saie, this is one of their Dew blushes, and this one's in the shade Chili. Then I have this one from AF94. This is the Playdate Multi-Use Cheek and Lip Color in the shade Bite Back, which is like a reddish tone. Then we have the Freck Beauty Cheek Slime Lip and Cheek Tint, and this one's in the shade Fever Dream. This is an intense orange blush. You see, that was just a teeny little tiny dot, and look at that. Alright, next up are these liquid blushes from the brand Metamorphosis. This is an indie brand, and these blushes are super nice. I have a whole video on this brand and swatches and everything also included in that video, so I will link that for you above as well if you want to check that one out. I try out some other things from this brand as well. They have the most cutest animal theme, and this one's in the shade Magia. This one is my favorite. Then we have the shade Sunrise. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing all of these right. My apologies if I am not. Then we have the shade Bayan. I'm not sure how you would say that. I don't want to mispronounce anything wrong, even though I know I probably am. Okay. Then we have the shade Naranja. Then we have the shade Passion. Then we have the shade Bouquet. This brand makes beautiful liquid blushes. Unless I am mistaken, I believe I have every single shade in the Rare Beauty liquid blushes, including some that are limited edition. Now, I don't remember which ones were limited edition or not. Some of them come out in little holiday sets. I don't know for sure. So I'm just going to be swatching all of them. Some of them I have little mini sizes, and then the others I have them in the full size. So we'll start with the little minis. And the first one I have right here is in the shade Bliss. Then we have the shade Hope. This one is in the shade Peace. I want to say this was one of the limited edition ones, but I could be wrong. But any limited edition ones, she should make permanent because they're just as pretty and just as good. Then we have the shade Joy. And then we have the shade Truth. Okay. We have the shade Virtue. We have the shade Worth. Encourage. Then we have the shade Love. Believe. Faith. Happy. Grace, Lucky, and Grateful. But there you have my entire blush collection, all of the swatches, the powders, the liquids, the creams. This has been a long one, and if you have made it this far, thank you so very much for watching. It truly means the world to me. To all of you who watch my videos, to subscribe, you like it, you comment, thank you so very much, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!